Well, very good evening, everybody. I can actually say it's evening. We are later this time on Material Issues. It's Sunday Night Live, episode number 252 of Material Issues. I'm Mark Hershberger of Pop Detective Records. I'm over here in South Jersey where it's been a lot cooler today, rainy, kind of nasty, damp, overcast. A good day to stay inside and do a lot of music listening, so to speak. But hey, joining me as always, not from sunny Southern California, but in the Midwest, Chicago IPO is going on. It is the president of the International Pop Overthrow Music Festival, my good friend, Mr. David Bash. Good evening.
Yes, good evening to you too. Now it is evening in Chicago. It's 9 o'clock here. Yes, and yes, I am in the midst of IPO Chicago. We started on Friday, and we've just finished our fourth show. We had one Friday, two Saturday, and one this afternoon, and everything's going well. Nice. Montrose Saloon is the venue we use, and I say this every year, but it's really one of my favorite venues. Maybe probably next to the Cavern, it's probably my favorite one to be in. The owner of the venue, Eric Cheel, is a great guy. He and his wife let me stay at their home, which is very close to the venue. And, he's a musician as well as a club owner, so he knows how to treat the other musicians. And they really like playing there, and people like going there. It's got a really cool courtyard outside. So, if you want to leave the room, like you just saw your favorite band and you want to talk to people, you can always go outside and do that if the weather is good. And, in Chicago right now, April, typically things they bounce up and down. I mean, today it was like 50 degrees. It's going to be 80 in a few days. And it was 80 a couple of days ago. So that's how it works in Chicago. But yeah, everything's going fine so far. We're here through Saturday. We have shows every night this week, and Saturday afternoon and evening, all at Montrose Saloon. So again, huge thanks to Eric and everyone at Montrose Saloon for having us back. In the meantime, I have had a chance to go to a few record stores, and I also had a few friends help me out with record store day stuff because they knew because of IPO that it would not be particularly convenient for me. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And I actually did get quite a few things. I'm so much into collecting vinyl that I really did go all out on this record store day. And so I'm going to show you some of the stuff that I got. Well, actually, all the record store day things that I've got. The first thing was this reissue of The Who, a quick one. It's the mono version, which is not easy to find. And there's a second disc that has, B-sides and things like that. This is an overlooked album in The Who's catalog, but a very good one. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
This was cool. I was glad to be able to get that. Here's one that I showed you a few weeks ago because it was sent to me by the label Omnivore Records, but it is a record store day release. Bob Brady and the Concords. No, it has nothing to do with the Brady Bunch. But this is a band from Baltimore who was around in the 60s, and they're one of the best white soul groups that you'll ever hear. They sound so much like Smokey Robinson and the Miracles that you'll be astounded. So this is the first ever compilation, and it's on of Bob Brady and the Concords, and it's on my favorite label, Omnivore Records. And next week we're going to have one or more of the owners of that label as guests on Material Issues. But yeah, check this band out on YouTube. Look for the song either Everybody's Going to the Lovin' or More of Your Love, which is a Smokey Robinson cover, and you'll be amazed.
Nobody back here had that. No record store.
Nobody had it. Oh wow, yeah, because nobody knows who they are. But if they knew, they would have.
They only pressed 600 copies.
How many?
I think they only pressed 600 copies.
So. Oh wow, I didn't know that. Yeah. I thought I saw one out here. Maybe I did. Anyway, of course, a Power Pop Hall of Famer, Marshall Crenshaw, the bootleg sounds. So a bunch of previously unreleased outtakes, demos, live, that kind of stuff. So, always cool to get stuff by him. Here's something you don't see too often, a live XTC. XTC Live Boots. It has a show from April of 1981 in Cherry Hill at
Emerald City. I was at the show.
You were actually at this show?
I was at that show.
Holy
and
crap.
Here's my quick record store day story. I went to pick up something for a friend of mine who couldn't go out, so I got him the Pink Floyd Live in LA thing he was looking for 4 albums. And I'm standing in line, and it's a little old lady in front of me, clutching her record store days. And the one girl who worked there, I said to her, because I looked around, couldn't see, I said, "Hey, did you get any of the XTC, live boot?" And because they only pressed 900 of those. And she goes, "Yeah, we only got one in." And she pointed to the lady in front of me.
Oh my God.
She has it. And I was like, "Are you kidding?" I come all this way, and the lady in front of me, and I said to the lady, I said, "I really wanted that because I was at the show." And she goes, "Yeah, I saw them at the Tower Theater in Philadelphia. I really love XTC." So I was putting it on heavy, like, "Yeah, I was at the show, and I really would have liked to have it." She wouldn't.
Man. This stuff will always be gettable. Worst case scenario, you have to go on eBay and pay a little more. It's always a drag.
It is what it is. It's like, if it was there, I was going to get it. If not, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
I was at the show, so that's my memory.
Oh, well, all right. You'll get it. First time ever on vinyl. Brian Wilson, Imagination, his album from the late 90s, had been on CD only. Not necessarily the most loved album. It's got, kind of a very commercial production by Joe Thomas. And Brian's people and Joe Thomas's people were at loggerheads, and eventually Joe was let go. But the songs are really good. So if you can get by the late 90s type of really slick production, you really would like this album. And I do. And it was because of this album that I got to interview Brian. So, yeah, this one means a lot to me, actually. Todd Rundgren, Runt, The Necessary Cosmic Frenzy, live in the studio material from 1971. An early version of, speaking of Smokey Robinson, Ooh Baby Baby, which he did on his Wizard of True Star album as part of a medley. So I'm really looking forward to this. Another Power Pop Hall of Famer, Tommy Keene, with an album here. What is this one called? Songs from the film, the 1984 Reflection Sessions. Hey there, Jay Farley. Good to see you. So this is stuff that was on that album, but different versions of it.
Right.
And Back Again Try is one of my favorite Tommy Keene songs, and it leads off this disc. So I'm really looking forward to that. This collection here, Power Pop, American Power Pop for the Now Generation, 1977 to 81. And it's actually put out by a UK label, Soul Jazz Records. And this is all very obscure stuff. A lot of these bands I hadn't even heard of. I know the Scruffs real well, and the Wigs, the Reactions. Shoes is on here with Tomorrow Night. I'm going to imagine it's the Bomb version, not the Electra. And a bunch of bands, like I said, that I don't know. So that's one of the reasons I got this. I have a feeling I'll be in for a few treats. Almost all of these albums I just mentioned were courtesy of Irving Park Records in Milwaukee. Terry, who owns the label, his band Trolley, who's amazing, came down from Milwaukee to play IPO, and he brought a bunch of these for me, which was very, very nice of him. And one more thing, which I got at Dusty Groove Records, and this was very unexpected. Band from the Netherlands called Earth and Fire. No, not Earth, Wind and Fire. Not even close. This is an early set. Well, they actually were throughout the 70s, but early in the 70s, they were very much a prog pop band, kind of in that Renaissance vein, I guess. Female lead singer. This is their third album called Atlantis. It's a Netherlands record store day release, but Dusty Groove, being as cool as they are, actually got one of these in. I couldn't believe it.
I don't know how they get their stuff. Yeah,
they had a bunch of hits in the in Netherlands. By the end of the 70s, they'd gone a bit more commercial, but to me, they still sounded good. So this was like the real star of the show for me. I didn't even know that this was happening until I saw Dusty Groove's list, and it's like, wow, really? Wow. So very glad to get that. I'll just show one more thing because I went over to a place called Reckless Records in Chicago, one of their branches on Belmont Avenue, and they had this oversized Elton John jewel box, which it was a used copy, but nothing was open. And it's got, it's got LPs worth of all kinds of Elton John shit, hits, rarities, previously unreleased stuff. I couldn't pass this up. I mean, I've never seen it. When you see something like that in the wild, you got to get it.
Just got to get it. Yeah.
So anyway, that's my so far record stores story for Chicago. I'm sure there'll be more next week. But in the meantime, let's bring on our guest. And speaking of Record Store Day, and I want to bring this up with him. Oh, Joanne, wow, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Joanne Hodges, a really good friend. Someone also who lets me stay. When we did IPO in Portland, she would let me stay at her home. And she's always good like that with musicians. And she does house concerts as well. And yeah, she's great. So really glad she's joining us. Anyway, one of the things I want to ask our guest is having his records reissued on vinyl, because right now I don't think there is any vinyl. Thank God for CDs, because he's got a lot of them. First found out about him in 1992 when a magazine called Yellow Pills, run by Jordan Oakes, had an ad. I think it was an ad and a review for a 7-inch that he had just released. And I found out, maybe it was 90. No, it must have been 92. Of course, I ordered it immediately and fell in love with that. And then his first album, Sight and Sound, came out not long after. And of course, since then, he has released so many great records of just stellar pop music. Kind of in Emmett Rhodes vein, maybe a little softer, but he can power pop when he wants to. There's no doubt about it. And he's also played IPO in several cities. He's lived in San Francisco for quite a while. And he played IPO up there. He's played it in LA. Early on, he was playing it quite a bit. He doesn't play as much live anymore, but he does do a weekly show where he performs. And, I see that a lot of his fans are here. I can see the numbers, so that's cool. Definitely somebody who, if I had a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he'd be in there, no questions asked. And I'm sure a lot of us agree. So without further ado, would you please give a huge welcome to Mr. Chris Von Sneidern?
Hey.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for that introduction.
You deserve it.
Without further ado.
Yes. Yeah, that's something I should bring up. That's not one of the songs I have queued up, but he actually wrote a song. Chris did called IPO about his early experiences at the festival when we were doing it in LA exclusively, and he stayed at the Orchid Suites. And he mentioned without further ado, because that's something in my intros I often say, because I talk a lot. And then it's like, all right, Bash, shut up. So hence the without further ado. So I'm really grateful for that. It's up on YouTube, by the way, if you ever want to hear it, Chris Von Sneidern, IPO. But yeah, I mean, so many people love your music, and with good reason. And
well, David, you've been there since the beginning, right?
I have, yeah. I mean, thanks to Jordan Oakes, because
I wonder
your record.
I don't know if this is a fake memory, but were you at Syracuse University in the early 80s?
No, but I was at Syracuse University in the mid 70s. I started college there. My first semester was September of 76. Yeah. And I was there through December of 77. I doubt we met. I did go to a couple of shows at the Jabberwocky. I also went to Desert Shore Records quite a bit, which is where I found out about the Flash Cubes.
Yeah.
But no, I assume you were in Syracuse at that time, but no, we hadn't met there.
Okay, but you did you know Michael Trey?
Not by name.
Okay, but Alan Braun.
Well, yeah, Alan owned Desert Shore Records,
Okay.
and he has for a long time lived in Pasadena, and every now and then I see him. He'll show up at an IPO show or a record fair. But yeah, I knew Alan was the one who turned me on to the Flash Cubes.
Right.
I saw the Christie Girl 7-inch there, and it's like, all right, this looks too. I said, is this the kind of stuff I'd like? He said, oh yeah, and he was not wrong.
Yeah, the first time I heard Flamin' Groovies was at his store.
Yeah,
he put on a bootleg. He just went into this closed-eyed trance. It's like, oh, beautiful sound. Because Alan is, his own character.
That's for sure.
Oh.
No, he's great.
Yeah, he's still around. I see him not too
no,
often,
he's in
but from
Pasadena.
time to time.
He's still around.
Yeah. And
in fact, I think I just bought a record from him on Discogs. Funny enough, so yeah, he's still doing it.
Selling that gold mine of vinyl he still got in his basement. Right. I'm sure. One record at a time.
Speaking of gold mine and vinyl, and I know this is probably something I should ask you near the end, but since it's on my mind, are there any plans to reissue any of your albums on vinyl?
None whatsoever. No. I would love to, but isn't vinyl bad for the environment? All that shipping, gasoline. I mean,
I suppose.
Can't we just stream it all?
Can't we just stream it all?
Can't we just all get along with vinyl?
Yeah, I think I should put Sight and Sound out on vinyl, right?
Absolutely.
You can't even get it on CD anymore.
No, yeah, you should. I mean, after the show, sometime in the near future, I can connect you with some people who might be interested. But yeah, Sight and Sound is, of all your albums, and I love many of them, that's still my favorite. And in fact, I have a top 60 albums of all time list that I.
Oh boy, am I on that?
Yeah, Sight and Sound is on that.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you.
That's how good it is.
Such a great album. Such a great album. Yeah.
Even if you could just get that one out, it would be a pleasure for a lot of people. Because you're right, you can't even find it on CD anymore.
No, it's a shame. It's all my fault as well. I have hundreds of copies of the second album. They printed a lot of those, and I have many, many copies of my first 45. Because I thought it would be a good idea to print up 1,000 copies of that 45. So, it was cheaper. If I printed up 10,000, I would have gone broke saving money.
Right.
But all the albums are basically there. It's just there's more CDs of some of them.
Right.
Yeah. Well, if you
go to my website and find them all.
If you were to put Sight and Sound out on vinyl.
We're back to that. Okay, go ahead.
Just real quick, obscure question. If you were to put that out, if you were to do color vinyl, what color should Sight and Sound come out on?
Well, let's take a vote. Starting with you.
Yeah. I think clear vinyl, because you can look straight through it and see the sights and the sounds of everything.
That's clever. It's very poetic. I think yellow, maybe, because of there's a yellow thing going on.
That's true.
I'm partial to black because then you can see the different songs. Clear vinyl, you can't tell where the song.
Oh yeah, you can see the track separations. Yes,
right.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, it's good one. But I would love to see vinyl releasing that.
I think it could be a possibility if you're into it.
I won't be listening to it no matter what color the record is.
Oh, you don't have a turntable?
No, I've not. Who listens to their own stuff?
True.
Oh, I don't know. There's a great scene in the movie Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, which is about a girl group who comes from New York to California to find fame and fortune, and they get hooked up with a rather
Z-Man,
Ronnie Z-Man Barzell, a rather eccentric record producer. We actually had the actor as a guest on the show.
Yeah.
But anyway, she has some business with this really uptight lawyer named Porter Hall, and she gets him into bed, and she for background music she puts on her own record.
Oh, right. I remember that scene. Oh, Porter.
So you never did that. You never had sex to your own music.
Whoa, that
And I'm
would
kiss and tell, David Bash. Let's see. No, that's a no for on many levels. Don't do that.
No, I've actually asked that on Facebook.
I bet the guys in the posies do that. There's certain groups,
That could be. I mean,
Yeah.
we had Ken Stringfellow on the show. We didn't ask him about that, but what was I going to say? So were you born and raised in Syracuse, or did you move there from somewhere else?
Syracuse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born in Syracuse. And then when I was about 7, we moved out to the sticks where it had a dirt road and no mail delivery.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of fascinating because there was nothing to do. Just be full of imagination and stuff. Get bullied by the river people.
Right.
It was a scene. I long for that kind of solitude. I love that. It's nothing around. But then I became, I started going to the after hours, all ages, new wave punk shows in Syracuse. So I saw 145, Zane Grey, Flash Cubes were done by then. And then within a year or so, I started seeing Screen Test.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which was the spin-off of the Flash Cubes. It was basically
and 145
Flash Cubes.
has a Flash Cubes relation also.
Right, because Paul Armstrong went to do 145 with Ducky Carlisle.
Right.
And Screen Test was Gary and Artie doing the same basic thing, maybe with different pants.
Yeah, right now the Flash Cubes are operating as half cubes.
Half cubes.
So no Artie Lennon.
No Artie Lennon. It's Gary and
Tommy
Gary and Tommy doing amazing covers albums. I mean, among the best I've ever heard.
Well, in 1992, before my first record came out, I went to LA to record with Tommy Allen. We did 3 songs, and they were, it was kind of a little too on the nose in the rock and roll, like record 3 songs in a weekend kind of thing. It was very, it wasn't subtle listening back to it now. But it was very pro, and Tommy was kind of looking into managing bands and producing bands, and he had his eye on doing that with me. And it didn't go anywhere, but I stay in touch with Tommy, and I contributed to the Flash Cubes tribute record last year.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, I'm on there. No promise. There's no
that song. All right,
yes,
cool.
That song. Yeah.
That is, when I've seen the Flash Cubes live, they never fail to play that. So
that's a good one. That's why I picked it.
Yeah, there you go. Did you come from were your parents musicians or into music, or was this all on your own?
I don't know where the music thing came from, because as my mother said, your father can't walk and chew gum at the same time, which is true. My mother, she didn't have any musical talent, but her father was maybe a musician of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother said, your grandfather played banjo in the orchestra. So he must have played the banjo in some kind of band, I guess.
Well, you have a special talent for writing and recording and things. So I always believe it comes from somewhere. There's some sort of magic. It could be skip a couple generations. It could be something,
it could be inherited, but you know how these things go. It's environment and influence and things. And I got into it. Clearly I have a gift for it, if you could call it a gift.
Sure.
And I'm always surprised at, how you sit down and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, there's an idea. Oh, I like that idea. This is actually good. And you think that it's gone at times when you're in a fallow period. And recently I got back into it and I was like, it's the same feeling. I have the same feeling. I don't look the same. I can't sing. There's a couple notes I can't sing quite as high. But it's all, the feeling is still there and I'm just as excited about it as ever. So, you know, the fans move on or your friends, everything changes. Well, I don't know if everything changes, but I change, right? We all change and we think everything around us is changing. I think we individually change more than our environment. But as long as you stick with it, as Ronnie Lane told my band Flying Color, just stick with it. That's all you got to do is stick with it.
That's right. Flying Color with also with Hector Peñalosa.
Hector and Dale and John
guys.
Yeah, Richard Chase left the band in '87, just after they finished their record, and Hector asked me to join the band, and he was my best bud at the time, so that was a dream come true. We did a couple of tours, and then, you know, the usual egos thing broke up the band, and we never made a second record, and although we're talking about it still.
Oh, really?
Oh, the dreams.
Man, we would love that.
It may happen. I saw Hector last weekend and Dale's around. John I work with all the time. So it's possible. Just, you know how these things have to get organized. And
yeah. Well, Chris, what was the spark though when you were young? What made you go, aha, I think I'd like to go this direction. I think I can do this, or I have an interest in music.
It was the break between my first and second semesters of college. So that would have been, you know, the winter of the end of '83 into '84. And I started school and I was driving from my parents' house. And I think you need to immerse yourself. You can't drive from your parents' home and go to school. I just never could click with it. And I don't know, I just could never. I thought I was doing well in school and I was failing. So I over the winter break, I was always into the tape machines and the record players and all that stuff as a kid. So I always had some kind of taping thing going on. I'd rigged up a couple of cassette machines and I would write, you know, I'd play a guitar and then play another guitar and sing along to it and make these demo tapes that were built up, you know, overdubbing on overdubbing. Mm-hmm. And then I started writing songs that seemed more mature, I guess, because I'd been writing, you know, all through high school, you know, silly songs about, you know, cookies and things. And then I wrote a love song and I was like, oh, this has an intro, this has a verse, has a chorus. Once I got the bug for that, when the second semester of college started, I went one day and I was like, oh, forget this. This is not, I don't feel as excited about anything as I do about writing songs and playing the guitar and all that. So I cast my lot with the losers of the world and the dreamers. And I've been doing it ever since.
And the rest is history. Yeah.
Did you have a particular inspiration? I mean, were you fans of the typical pop type stuff or something else?
Well, the usual stuff. Around that time, I had friends that were into like David Bowie. So I discovered those first couple of records by David Bowie. And then all that stuff that was really popular in the early 80s that I tried to like and couldn't get on with, like Marillion, the Genesis records of the time, you know, and then all that ABC and
right,
UB40, what have you. I just wasn't into the shoulder pads and the makeup. Big Country was another one.
Big Country, yeah.
Stevie Ray Vaughan. And I just went backward, you know, because the one thing about Alan Braun's record store was that I think he had a flood or something, and he was like, get all these half damaged records out of here. So he had all these 45s. So I bought Stones, Herman's Hermits, Peter and Gordon, a lot of that stuff, and just got way into all of those songs. And that was a big influence. All those songs are still burned, into the back of my head. And there was all the Beatles stuff. I mean, my brother and I were so into the Beatles that we didn't really know that the rest of the world would also be into the Beatles.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of our thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we did grow up in the sticks, there's no Beatle fans around. We thought we were the only ones.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Could have been Flat and Scruggs, but
It could have been anything. I mean, and it was also Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chicago and the Beatles. That's my foundation.
But you never really, I don't know if you aspired to ever have horns on your record, so.
The song "Don't Worry Now." That's got horn.
Yeah.
All right, well,
but not in a horn section way. It's true.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I never knew what the whole pop thing was. It was just, that was music. It's like.
Yeah, I always got the sense that you haven't totally embraced being part of that pop or power pop world that we're all so in love with.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't do. I'm not good with groups of people. I tend to. I don't want to join anything. I'm suspicious of any sort of organization of more than about 4 people.
Anybody that'll allow me to be a member.
That's the other way of saying it. Sure.
Yeah, but I'm glad that I'm always grateful that you've played IPO. Initially I was worried, like, oh, do I really want to be part of this thing? I don't want to be labeled as pop. I'm not.
Oh well, if I'm the center of attention, I'll go anywhere. The rest of the time, I'm pretty awkward.
Kathleen posted here. She wants to know about how about Badfinger's influence on you.
Badfinger had no influence.
There you go.
I didn't know about Badfinger until people like Dan Matavina started comparing me to Badfinger, and I was like, I should get these records. That was in 93, 94. I mean, I knew the biggest hits,
right?
But they weren't. I didn't own any of those records. But since then, I've gone deep. But I've also gone deep into Albert Eiler and Graham Gould.
Mm-hmm.
Not Graham Gouldman.
No, the other one, Glenn Gould.
Got it.
I knew it was wrong when I said it. Thank you, David.
Not sure who that is. But anyway, so take us back to creating Sight and Sound. You said was that recorded in LA as well, or
no? That was recorded in my house.
Oh wow,
sure. I think I've paid one person one time to record me. Everything else I've just done it myself. That's how I learned to record and have all this equipment and have a studio. Like I said, I was from the 80s, I was recording on cassettes and just bouncing and making all these songs. And then I think in 85, I got a reel-to-reel 4-track machine. And that was a big moment because, it's just an upgrade. And I held on to that machine, moved to California with it, and then got a second one of those. And I was going crazy just trying to figure out how to record something that didn't sound, like garbage. So I taught myself how to record, and other friends that were into recording, would help me or maybe lend me some, piece of gear or microphones or something. So I would say when I moved into this house in the Castro district in San Francisco, I set up a room that had nothing in it except recording gear and stuff. So I had a dedicated place to record. I put together a pretty humble setup and just started recording these songs, and it just turned into things that sounded more like a record than anything I'd recorded before. So then when Heyday Records wanted to put out, this Sight and Sound thing or whatever it was to become that, they wanted me to re-record everything. And we put together a budget, and they were like, well, we could spend, $10,000 or something.
Wow.
In 1993. And I was like, there's no way I could re-record this whole album in a matter of days, because I would spend a week or two on each song in my house. Right. Mm-hmm. So then it was decided, well, how about we just put out those recordings? And that was my first album. So some of the stuff is a little thin, I guess, maybe.
I mean, as a pop fan, hearing all kinds of different levels of fidelity, I've heard a lot thinner. I can tell you that.
Oh, I mean, I record myself and other people for a living at this point, and I always tried just as hard then as I do now to make it sound good. So, yeah.
Well, so you kind of go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
Say, how did you get to the attention of Heyday Records? I mean, what were you doing that, or did you know somebody there you were passing demos on, or?
I was sending tapes around. I think what it was the initial connection was that a woman that I knew through a relationship had covered one of my songs. A song called I Want You, which is on my first record. She'd covered it, and that record was released by Heyday Records. And just through dealing with me by getting permission or publishing, or whatever, I don't even think, because it was an unpublished song. So they needed to get some kind of permission. And through that connection, I met Heyday.
Okay.
Aren't they? They're located in the Bay Area, right? Or am I totally wrong?
Well, defunct now, but it was founded around maybe 1990 by Pat Thomas, who's a writer. You may know him. And then a guy named Ron Gompertz got involved with the label because he had some money and some ideas. He basically over-invested, and Pat couldn't keep up with that. And Ron ended up owning the whole thing. And Ron's sort of A&R thing was a little different than Pat's A&R thing. So Pat was more into signing everybody who had ever been in Green on Red, and Ron was more into signing anything and everything. So he had me, he had a rockabilly group, he had a torch singer, it was all over the place. But Ron definitely knew how to market the label. He had a lot of knowledge of just how to succeed in business. So they did pretty well. I mean, I don't know if he ever made any money on the rock and roll records, but he did make some money on a something called Cyborgasm. It's a very sexy record of people having sex, but it was just the audio.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That floats some people's boat, right?
70,000 people's boats.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Market for it, I guess. Yeah. What the heck?
But I think it was probably through an ad that Heyday placed somewhere that I found
Yellow
out about
Pills.
Probably Yellow Pills.
Yeah.
So I found out. I said, "Wow, I bought this guy's 7-inch. I loved it. So this is really great." And I ordered it. I'm sure straight from the label at that time, and fell in love with the album. And when you play IPO. You play a decent amount of songs from that album, and I want to play one now because this still has got to be my favorite song of yours, and it's one that you do play at IPO a lot, and I'm always grateful for that. And I think a lot of your fans from back in the day would agree that this is one of your classics. It's on the first album, Sight and Sound, and it's called Open Wide, and we're going to play it right here on Material Issues. I was wondering if that was going to happen.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Got to take a run. There's no escape or way to explain. My heart's the same, wondering what will come of tomorrow. Find some regard for a life full of sorrow. I got to try to get over the line. Will you give me a try? Someone is talking, I want to hear open wide. I'm listening now. Don't give up easily. Keep your grip on all you know. Your number's coming up. You can leave us on. To try to get over the line, open wide. Will you give me a try? Someone's talking, I want to hear open wide. Open wide, open wide, open wide. Do you ever curse out loud? Trying to find out the reason now, or ever wonder how so many go without making a sound. Some refusing to die until they've been found. I've got to try to get over the line, open wide. Will you give me a try? Someone is talking, I want to hear open wide, open wide.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, that is about as perfect a pop song as there could be. And I mean, it has just about every element you could want. I mean, your voice is just, you know, it's got that earnestness, that sweetness, and the harmonies in there. And of course, those melody lines, the lyrics, everything. Oh, here we go. Twiggly Piggly.
Who's Twiggly
Michael
Piggly?
A. Okay. Well, thank you, Michael, for saying that. It's our pleasure. And we're just glad Chris accepted our invitation to be on.
I'm happy to be here. This is fun.
Any, what was the inspiration behind that song, or for that matter, the entire record?
Well, there's a lot of tunes that I write that are kind of, reaching out for, something outside myself, right? And I remember I was supposed to go to a show. I think it was a Barbara Manning show in.
Oh, yeah. Barbara's great.
Yeah, and she wasn't even playing that many shows even at that point. This was probably 92 or late 91 or early 92, and I was just playing the guitar, and I started getting into the song, and I was like, I'm not going out tonight. I got to finish this song. And yeah, it was in that period where I was really, I'd left Flying Color. I had already gone off with Paul Collins on our little weird trip across the country in his car for a month or so. And I lived in New York with him in a storefront for a few months. Finally decided I got to get out of here. I came back to San Francisco, and in that period in San Francisco, I was just completely excited about what I was doing next. And I was just writing songs, and I had all that, 25-year-old energy. You know how it is in that, like my eyebrows grew straight across, and all that energy. and I was just writing and writing and writing, and that was one of the songs. Along with there was a lot of songs right through that period. It was boom 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 boom.
And I mean, are you a Gemini? Did your baby call you Gemini, or
No? That was a spin-off of the Blowfly Zodiac record.
Yes, yeah.
It kind of was a spin-off of that.
Yeah, I got you. All right.
Gemini.
Wait, are you talking about Blowfly, the guy who does the X-rated versions of R&B songs?
I think Gemini would dig a tune that goes something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that stuff.
No,
wow,
I'm
now that
Sagittarius.
was the last thing I would have thought would inspire that song. But okay,
Mm-hmm.
whatever works,
Yeah, I'm a Sagittarius. Sagittarius. Half man, half beast. I can't stand the bitch. Yeah. So anyway, Gemini. But then there was some kind of subway accident in the news around that time, and I made up this idea of because the Zodiac killer combined with a train accident, and that was what was going on in my mind when I wrote that. And when I wrote that, I was in this storefront on Avenue B at like 11th or 12th Street.
Oh, in Manhattan.
Yes,
okay.
yeah. Back when if you lived on Avenue B, you didn't go to C, and if you lived on Avenue C, you wouldn't dare go to Avenue D.
God no.
But it wasn't as bad as it had been apparently, because. But it was it was just funky. We'd lock ourselves in at night. And I was sitting at this little oak table, and I wrote this song, and it was so simple, and I thought this isn't any good. And a friend of Paul's sister, this woman Fleur, said, I kind of like it. I like that. And I was like, oh, encouragement. It was I didn't grow up with a lot of it as far as things that I created, so anytime that somebody had said, oh, I kind of like that, I was like, oh, okay, validated. Same thing happened with the song Annalisa. I thought it was crap because it was so over the top, kind of obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Like Annalisa. I just thought this doesn't have enough integrity to it, And I was just about. And then my bass player friend Peter Strauss at the time says, "This is the greatest thing you've done. You've got to finish this song." And so I did. But the big there was this show. It was Robin Hitchcock with Alex Chilton opening the show, and we'd gone to see it. And there was a woman sitting in front of me named Anne, and that kind of inspired me to write that song. But also the show, like just watching Robin Hitchcock with the Egyptians at that time, it was so together, and all those harmonies. It was great. It really kind of, and I was in that period of being very excited about everything I was doing. And then the bridge of that song I wrote later, and that was completely kind of Big Star kind of. I was trying to come up with these chords that I don't even know what they're called, So there's some real finger twisters in the bridge of that song.
And you said Peter Strauss had said it was the greatest thing you had written.
Yeah, he was like, what are you kidding me? You don't think this is any good? This is the best you've got so far.
Now, on the other side of the coin, have there been moments where you've written something that you thought, this is the nuts, this is the best I've done, and you've had people go, it's all right?
Well, people don't tend to tell you that something isn't good, right? I mean, no one gets ahead in life other than maybe fake rock journalists in telling people that something isn't good. Yeah. So I don't know. Although there's a song on my first record called Sea Green, like Never Seen.
Oh yeah.
And some people are like, I hate that song.
What the hell were you doing with that?
Really? That's one of those songs it has its own place, even in my catalog. It's just a kind of it's one of those songs. I remember playing the basic track for a musician that I was working with briefly, and I was just played like, this is a basic track I've got, and he's like, I'm bored. I'm like, yeah. I remember ever since then, like, basic tracks should bore you. Then you got room to put something on.
Twiggly Piggly loves that song, so you've got
Good. Who's Twiggly Piggly?
Don't
I
know.
don't know.
Michael
Random
A.
here.
Michael A. What does A stand for?
Michael A.
That was a different guy.
That was different.
Oh, I
you
don't know
sure?
if this is a guy, actually.
Oh no, you're right. Twiggly Piggly.
Oh, it is. Oh, all right.
We're
Okay,
going
I
back
see
a
it
little
now.
bit. Yeah.
Michael A. He
He
loves
loves
the
the
song.
song.
Good for Michael A.
Yeah.
All right.
Now I have to ask, what were you doing in Manhattan? I mean, that had to be like, especially living in the letters at that time. I mean, that had to be culture shock for you.
No, I had already lived in San Francisco for 5 years.
Okay.
I mean, I was definitely a little greenhorn when I moved here at 19. I'd just been on my own for 6 months, and then I moved here. But then I was, I don't know, must have been how old was I? 20 something. I was ready for adventure. And Paul was maybe 10 years older than me, and he was, as he remains, he was kind of up for any sort of harebrained scheme to maybe, get something going. So we just drove across the country, and then when we got to New York, his family was there, so I just kind of tagged along, and we ended up in this storefront, like I said, and the storefront was rented by his sister, who was she and her friend Fleur, they restored marble. I think the cloisters, they had restored the cloisters. They had a crew, and they worked with marble, and this was their workshop. They had a little place where they kept their tools and things, and we slept in the back.
Wow.
With the steam, and then we didn't have a shower or anything, so every day we'd go to the 10th Street bathhouse.
Wow.
And it was Paul Collins, me, a couple of dancers, and a little group of Hasidim, and we'd just all be in the Russian bath, just with the, I don't know if you know the schwitz thing, but you're in a very hot room, right?
Yep.
And then you pour a bucket of cold water, and then there's some other guy beating on people with oak leaves or eucalyptus leaves. I don't know what they are, but
I guess so. You and I had met then. No.
Yeah, you've been in the baths, yeah.
No.
There were a couple guys. There was these two cops that were always in there, and then when they would check in, you'd see this pistol go into the safe box. We call them shoot 'em up and bang bang. They were there every day too.
And how long did you stay in Manhattan?
I think it was November of 1990 until May of 91.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we played the open mics. We did a show in New Haven. We tried to get some gigs in Soho, but it was just not, I don't know, it was not our time. I remember Jeff Buckley was playing at the Chenet a lot, which was just a block or two away from where we were hanging around. There was lots of stuff going on, but I wasn't part of it. It didn't feel like it wasn't my place. That wasn't my time. So I got out of there.
It's funny because I transferred from Syracuse University to NYU, New York University. So the Village was my playground. But I almost never went to live shows because with all those clubs there too. But back then, whatever extra money I had went to records. So it came down to a choice, and I chose the vinyl over the stage. And yeah, I mean, my memories of New York are really fond.
I was just there. I played a show with a guy that owns this recording studio facility that I have my place. We were playing at the Bitter End.
Oh yeah,
That's still there.
That is still there. We still do IPO in New York. We're at a place called the Parkside Lounge. A few years ago, I actually investigated doing it at the bitter end, but logistically, it didn't work out. But yeah, that is still it's an iconic venue for sure. So next for you comes up Big White Lies,
Nice,
which is another wonderful record.
That was I'd recorded all these songs, much like I had for Sight and Sound, but just at the end of Sight and Sound, along with a little bit of advance money from Ron at the heyday, I got into the digital recording thing. So I had these ADAT machines and a mixing board, and I was on my way. So things had gotten a little more sophisticated with the recording and the tracks and all that stuff. So I had a pretty good set of songs already for my second album. So I didn't have to write quickly, a whole album. So I was on my way with that. But the only difference was that with Big White Lies, I went to a real studio and recorded the drums. So I had these sort of professional sounding drums along with my, home recorded demos. And then, so I just finished the record at home, and then I mixed the whole thing. So it was very sort of almost professional sounding, had it mastered by a professional person, and we had artwork. I was doing it the way it was supposed to be done. So that record kind of sounded a little more professional, but very clean. It was very pristine. And the whole thing of like a sort of a cheap mixing board with ADAT machines, you don't get any funk. There's no mojo, whatever. It's just literally just straight in. And I hadn't learned anything about recording and what makes a recording have a vibe to it. It was just the songs, and that was it. There was no production really. In my mind, I wasn't really producing records. I was just, rendering these songs in an accurate way.
Okay, I get that.
So the production is kind of not very adventurous. I think on the first record there was more experimentation because I had all those limitations. I just had a 4-track machine, for instance.
How many copies of the first record, Sight and Sound? Do you know how many that's sold to date?
No more than 5,000, because that's all they printed.
They printed about 5,000. Yeah,
and that was it. That's out of print. So they could have printed a lot. They could have sold more.
Yeah,
but that was by the time we moved on to the second record, the first record, the long tail, as they call it, never had a chance to live.
Yeah,
they just ran out of records, and I didn't have the wherewithal to print more copies, because being the artist, you're just moving forward, right? You're not thinking about.
You don't worry about that. Yeah.
Yeah. And here we are, how many years later? 30 something years later?
Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
33.
30 something, not 35.
33 years. Yeah.
So 33. Yeah. So it needs to come out. And if anybody has an idea of who might want to print those up and store them in their garage, let me know. I'm open to it.
The fortunate thing these days is you don't have to print up that many copies of something. Vinyl, you can do as few as 100. CDs, probably less than that. So
right. Well, yeah, but that's why the records cost $40 a piece now, because everyone's making 100 copies. It costs a bunch of money to make.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, it would be great to see Sight and Sound in a 12-inch format, right?
Yeah.
Problem is, I can't find the original artwork films. For that record player. It was just, you say, why haven't you put it out? It's like, I've been thinking about it. I got in touch with the original art people a couple of months ago. They said, I don't have any of that material. They threw it out or whatever. And there's no films, there's no digital files. So I'd have to recreate the cover from a little CD.
Right. Yeah.
300 DPI printed thing. So that's a big cover.
Yeah.
with
It's
all the
possible.
technology these days, they'd probably be able to make it work.
Yeah.
Well, we can make it work no matter how bad it looks.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
So all right. So for the next record, Go, you move from Heyday to Mod Lang, which I assume that label was run by the Shop out of San Francisco.
Paul Bradshaw and his wife at the time, Naomi Diamond. Yeah. They were having a successful shop, selling a lot of records, a lot of imports. And yeah, they wanted to do a label, and they were honored to have me. I was honored to be asked. And so we did the Go record, and Yerker Emanuelson.
Oh, well, yes, very well.
So that record was meant to come out on Sound Asleep.
Oh, yeah. That's
And he and I had worked through the cover and all the stuff, and I don't know why it didn't come out on Sound Asleep. I think I probably just decided not to do it and unceremoniously insulted him. But he's a good guy, so I'm sure that's not a issue anymore. But yeah, somehow I just ended up doing it, or maybe it was too expensive. I don't know what happened. I always assume it's my behavior that got in the way, but maybe it was just an expense thing or whatever. So it didn't come out with Yerker, but Maud Lang wanted it. We put it out, and I remember that record being my thought about that record is that I didn't try hard enough at all. I just phoned it in, and I think there's some good songs in that record.
There are.
Yeah.
And I think the only thing I might regret about that record is the cover, and
Yeah, the motorcycles. That's
yes, I think that was Yerker's idea, actually.
oh.
I'm going to credit him for that. There's a few songs that aren't as good as they should be. There's a song called "When You're Right." I
Yeah.
think that's terrible.
Really? Okay.
Well, the song "Go," it was in that period where I think some of the songs were a little too sexy or something. I was too obsessed with pursuing women or something. Those songs aren't really my favorite to sing anymore because I've moved on from that state of mind.
No, it is true. When I see you play, you usually don't do stuff from that album.
Yeah, although "One Side in Heaven," "Blinded Eyes," "North Country Girl,"
Yeah.
those are some of the most requested songs of my catalog. 451, solid tune.
You see how that works? Yeah.
Right. So it's a great album, and I suggest you seek it out. It's out of print.
Yes, indeed. But I have to agree. I like the album, of course, but I do like your next one better, Wooden Wire.
That was such a success. That was a success all around, and I attribute that to working with other people. Because it's not easy getting a bunch of people together, especially all the way in New York, to record an album on 2-inch tape. It was crazy, and it was great, and it was limited by time. That started because Lou Holtzman, who still has a studio. I just saw him. He's got a studio in the Lower East Side called East Side Sound. He invited me to come to New York and just record. No charge, just be our guest. His wife, Mimi, was my old roommate, Dave Glavin. And they said, just to honor Dave, why don't you come be our guest? And I had nobody to record with. So I sat around for days like, oh. Eventually, Richard X. Heyman came by with Nancy, and then Dave Amels, my friend from New York. We started doing, we did a few tunes like "Don't Worry Now." I think we did. No, that was and then Dennis Dykin came down and played drums, and we got a handful of tunes, and that was the beginning. And then I came back home. I had maybe 3 songs from that I wanted to keep, and I didn't know what to do with the rest. To make a whole album, and I kind of sat on this stuff for almost a year, and my friend Chuck Prophet said, "Gotta have a plan. Gotta have a plan." And so I made a plan, and I went back to New York, got the same musicians together, but not at Lou's studio. I'd run out that favor. And we worked in Hoboken with Gene Holder at this great studio. And then I had more tunes by then. I sent everybody demos. I brought a little metronome. I was really trying hard to do this right. And Peter and I flew to New York. And so it was Dave Amels and Joe McGinty.
Oh, yeah.
And Dennis Dyke and Dave Amels. And Peter and I, we finished that record. And that was a real success, I think.
It really was.
There's really nothing on that record that I don't like.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I'm going to play a track from it. This is another one of my favorite songs of yours, and I think it's one that stands as one that people are most fond of. It's a song called Circles. And here we go. From Wood and Wire, Circles on Material Issues.
On him and always thinking of the greatest thing to say. Just walking away. I could run in circles around you. I could run in circles around you. I could run in circles around you.
another pop classic by Mr. Chris Von Sneidern. That was Circles from Wood and Wire from 1990.
You know, that song was supposed to be on the previous record, and I re-recorded it.
Oh,
But the minute Wood and Wire came out, somebody who knew the song was like, "What happened to Circles?" Like I re-recorded it and had a different vibe, and she was attached to the previous version. She's like,
that happens a lot, which is why a lot of musicians are reluctant to let people hear their demos, because then they fall in love with the demo, and the finished version comes out like, what did you do to it?
ruined it.
I've had that happen a few times with musicians. They said, I knew I shouldn't have played you the demo.
Yeah.
Now,
everybody, running across the bottom, sircvs.bandcamp.com. If you're loving everything you're hearing so far from Chris, you can get a lot of the things via Bandcamp or Sir CVS website. But it's all available, digital downloads, whatever he's got left in physical stock. We go out there to Bandcamp and order up. Just let you know.
Order up.
Now, this is a question that Mark often asks, but I feel like asking it for some reason. What's your process? I mean, does music come first or lyrics, or does it vary? And what do you find easier to write, ballads or up tempo? Because you definitely do both.
Well, they're all hard. Sometimes they kind of fall off the bone quicker, but it's all, you get your hands dirty. I think the process changes for me, but typically, I mean, I used to write the chords out and then I would fill it in, that kind of thing. And I was almost like, I don't know how, it just seemed a little methodic. But this idea that you're doing one thing and then you fill it in and then you fill it in and you fill it in. And then at one point I realized like I should be more free in my, I don't know how you call it, like in my creation or in my expression, and not follow some kind, like I'm filling in a form, right? So sometimes I always write on small pieces of paper so that I can just write something down. And if it doesn't count, well, it's a small piece of paper, right? I can just set it aside. But the other thing about the small pieces of paper is that I can move them around so that I can see with my eyes certain sections, or, if it's a couplet, I can move it around. So often the music with the lyrics. Oh, someone's got a phone call.
I just cut it off. It was only my brother, so
Well, hello, Brother Bash. So does he go by Bash too?
Yeah, he does.
Oh, cool. It usually comes music first, or a tune or melody with a chord thing, but quickly it needs to be married to some kind of couplet or a phrase or a catch, something.
Yeah.
Usually for the stuff that means, so the things that get filled in are usually verses, because once you've got the idea, then you just need to populate more verses. So I'll often write more verses than I need, sometimes because I don't even quite know where I'm going and I need to just keep emptying, the rain bucket. But the more recent years, I've realized that it's a muscle, right? And you need to you just need to do the full workout.
Yeah.
Another thing that it was funny, I had heard, this John Lennon quote. I think it was actually him speaking, and he was saying, you've just got to write it all in one state of mind. So if you're working on a song and the inertia is making you go, well, let's just get something to eat, or let's stop, I'm tired. Just don't listen to that. Stick with it. And then also I heard Neil Finn say this once in an interview, saying you've got to push through. And it's a very real thing in creating anything. You've got to resist the the human body temptation to stop or to resist the limited body versus the unlimited mind, as my Chinese doctor would always say. And that can work both ways. Your mind is unlimited, but your body is limited. So, listen to your body when it says it's tired. But when you're writing songs, it's like you're not tired. You're trying to talk yourself out of success or something. So you need to do the Neil thing. You need to push through, and then you'll be rewarded on the other side. You're like, oh my God, this song is actually coming together. So I shouldn't quit. And I think for years I did the former, and there's so many songs that I go through my tape sometimes. I'm like, this would have been a great song had I finished it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone who's
yeah.
failing, just keep trying and keep pushing and finish your songs. And if you think they suck, don't throw it away. But it might suck, but maybe someone needs to just convince you that it's actually the best thing you've written.
Yeah, exactly. But I remember we talked to Gilbert O'Sullivan about his process, and he really treats it like a job. He gets up every day at 9 a.m. He's
Puts on that hat.
He does, and he works until 5, and he works all day long at the craft and building and writing, and he sticks with it, and he's had a little bit of success, I would say.
I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but he's been putting out records all through the last 50 years, and his new records are pretty much as good as his old ones. They're just not being played on the radio, but man, he's still great.
I heard him in an interview not that long ago. Yeah, he seemed he was still doing the thing.
He is, and he does it well and loves it. Well, God, so here's a question that's just popped into my head. How do you feel? I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of stuff in your home or wherever that has not come out. Do you have any interest in putting out a rarities disc or something?
I do. I have some things. I have a lot of things. Yeah, I've had moments of desperation where I wasn't writing, and I thought, oh, I could just go backwards and go grab some stuff. There's still time for that.
Sure, always.
I've done a few things, especially when you put a CD out in Japan, they want to fill up the whole disc.
That's true.
Just to make sure that someone is going to turn off that record at some point. I like to make records that you get to the end before you're done listening. And if you fill up a disc, a CD with 74 or 80 minutes of music, guaranteed no one's going to sit through that whole thing.
Yeah.
Unless it's an opera or something. No one needs to listen to anything for more than about 55 minutes. That's my...
Unless it's an international pop overthrow compilation. That's another story.
Yeah, but that's a compilation because that's so, and then the band gets to see, oh yeah, put on track 25. That's us.
I think, David, you would agree with me. Chris is one of those artists that always leaves you looking forward to the next release. That's why this guy Bill here said, you have any new material coming out?
Bill Clutho, yeah.
Oh, Bill, I know that name.
Yeah,
but he's been in my mailing list since the 90s for sure.
Yes, he has. But anyway, he asked you putting out anything.
I do have a finished record. It's called "Throw It All Away," and I have one last track in order to make it 10 songs, and it's the most difficult birth of the past couple of years. I think it's because I'm trying to do something that I shouldn't, which is copy someone else's sound a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to back away from that. And I think I have a plan for success for that song. So yeah, I just need to figure out who's going to put that record out. Any ideas?
Sure. Lots of them.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't want to put labels on the spot in public like this, but you and I can certainly talk privately about that. Definitely have ideas.
This record is very pop. It's going to make the pop people happy. It's
Okay.
got 12-string electric guitar. It's got harmonies. It's somewhere between Big White Lies and Go, I think.
Okay.
It's not very rootsy. It doesn't have the kind of bluesy or rock and roll things or even the singer-songwriter kind of thing that I have explored deeply over the years. This one is inventive pop things.
Okay.
The inversions that I'm choosing and the song structure that I'm choosing, it's very much the kind of thing that I was doing when I was very excited about discovering the pop world. Those
Nice.
Badfinger records, I guess, or trying to pull apart a Jason Faulkner song or stuff like that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm intrigued. I know that. Let's go back though. So, all right. After Wood and Wire, the next two records are incredibly interesting. They're two concept albums that came out right around the same time. London Pain and Too Cute to Be Forgotten. So what's the story behind those? Because nobody was doing that kind of thing.
It was complete folly, for one thing. It was not supposed to be serious. I was actually kind of I was kind of making fun of London Pain, to be honest. But then, like a lot of things that I do, once I kind of get an idea of something, I go straight toward it rather than go slightly aside. Because, like, no one's going to be that excited about me making fun of somebody that they don't know. So then I just decided I'm just going to actually embody this music. So I started making up little voices and I got into it. And that was the London Pain record. And Koi-san?
Sure. So
Koi-win was playing with me a lot, and I was helping him record his band's records, those big wheel records. So I was hanging around Koi a lot, and we did some road trips together. We played some shows. Some of that we did with Linda Tefelsky, and because she's a dog shower.
Yes.
I think she's moved on to horses as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
These days, in her retirement. But in like 2000, she said, well, if you need, I can drive. I go to do these dog shows. We could do shows in Portland. We could do shows in Seattle. We could go to LA. So I took her up on it. We would, basically just drive to these places, and I would get a house concert or a gig or whatever. Koi said, what you should be doing is take those poems that girl had sent you and make those into songs. And I was like, eureka. There was a fan that liked my music or something and started sending me pictures of herself and poems. And she was living in southern Illinois or Indiana or something, and out in the middle of nowhere and down there in meth country maybe. And she was looking out into the world for something different, and she found me. So we wrote emails and letters. I don't even know how we communicated then, but I just made each one of her poems into songs, and then I ran out of she didn't have a whole album's worth of material, so I went on the internet and found websites that were for girls sharing their poetry. Almost like I don't even know if it was a website. It might have been a bulletin board service. And I found a few poems and reached out and asked for permission as much as I could. And then I just went into my studio, and wrote music for all of these poems and structured them. And then the next week I just recorded the whole thing and finished it. It was just did nothing for 2 weeks, but that Too Cute to Be Forgotten album. So it came together very quickly.
Interesting. Putting music to other people's poems that they allow you to.
I just went for it. I didn't even ask permission. I asked for forgiveness, as they say. And
should have titled it "Lyrics by." Yeah.
well, I gave credit as much as I could, but not in the title. And then the thing about it was that I wanted all the song. I produced the song like AM radio kind of songs. You know, they had this sort of innocent thing to the melodies, but it had a little bit of the bizarre from London Pain thing, because some of those songs were just kind of weird. It was very playful, but I think going for it without the seriousness of being, you know, the artist, you know, a songwriter guy, I ended up in some strange and interesting, fun musical places.
Indeed, and I have a track from it. This, I mean, it reminds me a lot of the song. You know, the whole concept behind the Beach Boys song "Busy Doing Nothing" from their Friends album. Just Brian describing, you know, what he was doing at that moment and how to get to his house, and it was just so. Just trying to think. It was so beguiling, I guess is the word I'm looking for. And here's a track from "Too Cute to Be Forgotten," for one of the poems called "What I Did Today," here on Material Issue.
I sit all day eating Triscuits, salsa, listening to Cheryl, Alanis, Elliot, singing to myself on a sunny day that was supposed to be cloudy. Sitting alone in a yellow room, I light a candle and watch the house burn down.
Yeah, so that's very much in the spirit of Brian Wilson's song "Busy Doing Nothing." So when she heard the record, what does she think?
Well, that one was written by some screen name, I think Sailing Sky or something.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know who that was, but you know, that kind of sounds like the Partridge Family meets Mott the Hoople or something. Yeah, I'm digging
That's
it.
funny.
Well, the great thing about that one, listening to it, is like it goes, you know, kind of in one place and then it goes dark. She's talking about burning the house down. And I'm like, this is girls rock. It was, I don't know, you know, how can one talk about their own work without either sounding ridiculous because no one knows what you're talking about, or that you've not described, you know, things well enough for people to understand. All I could say about that is it's interesting to hear it. And I think the great thing about listening to old stuff that you've made is, like, I would never do that now. I would never take the time to do that, you know, and to hear it so completely fleshed out with all these little details and all those vocals for, you know, to make a version of some girl's poem.
Very cool concept.
It must have been really out of material.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's see if
fortunately, the material did come back, and one of the albums that in your canon that is one of the most loved is California Redemption Value.
Wait,
And
we're skipping something, David.
we're skipping a few things, but mainly because I really wanted to get.
Okay, all right. Wasn't there the wild horse in there?
There is the Wild Horse.
Yeah,
I hadn't heard that one for a while, so
David was going to skip the Wild Horse because I actually had a question on the track on the Wild Horse.
well, then there you go.
I think
Bring it back.
We're
you and
going
I,
all the way today. We're going deep.
because you and I think we correspond. That's probably where you know my name. We corresponded back and forth a few times on this, but I love the track "Take Me Back" from Rich Belay and Sleepy Hollow, and
Yes.
just curious because I thought I was the only person in the planet that knew anything about Sleepy Hollow, and
I thought the same thing.
and I got to know Rich Belay very well before Wild Horse even came out. And all of a sudden, I get Wild Horse. And I'm listening to "Take Me Back." I'm like, whoa, where did Chris Von Sneidern pull
Well,
this?
it's like me with the Beatles. I'm like, wait. Other people have heard of this band?
Yes. And I asked Rich, and he was so chuffed about it. It was a good way.
Cool.
Loved it. And
I want to say that I heard about that song from Pat Pearson. Do you know that name?
Oh, we know Pat. I know Pat really well.
course.
Yeah.
Everybody, it's like all drummers know each other.
Mm.
All power pop people know each other.
okay.
Yeah. So I think Pat Pearson definitely was the one that turned me on to that song.
Wow. No, it's such a great version of it, and it just was a kind of a mind blowing moment when I came on the CD.
Well,
It was
I
just-
do my weekly show, right? I do my weekly show on Friday, and I'll play covers, but I won't take requests for covers because someone else's idea about a cover is just, what are the chances that it's going to work for me?
Yeah.
Certain songs just work for me. My voice can do it, or the chords fall into the right place from my hand. It just feels at home for me. And that song felt at home for me.
No.
So I recovered it. I covered it.
It really is a cool album, and which a label actually did reissue that on CD, and I'm trying to remember which one.
What the
The
Sleepy
Smoky Hollow?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Some strange, very small label. I forget. But,
yeah. I'm just so tired right now from not sleeping and doing IPO that I can't remember. Normally, it would go like,
yeah.
But that was a New York band, right?
Well, they were actually they ended up in New York, but they were from Philly originally. They were a Philly band, and then Rich, that was his one and only project, and he got ridiculed for trying to sound too much like John Lennon, and he said this is just this. And then when the label Artie Rip Productions, when they got him in the studio, they said, we want you to sound more like John Lennon.
Well, they wanted to sell it. Yeah.
And Rich did it, and then he never forgave himself after that, and then that's it, done with the business, and got out.
Yeah. Well, people have asked me to do things, and I did them.
And I did them. You're still around, still doing it, which we appreciate.
Got to keep the door open. You got to keep keep the lights on too.
you're talking about your weekly show. Was that like a lot of online performance now? Was that motivated in some part by COVID?
It was completely a COVID thing. I forget exactly why. I think I don't know why I put the camera and got the guitar hooked up and figured out how to get the sound right. But I did it, and I forget. I must have wanted to do something, but my friend Jessica said, "You have got to do this as a regular thing. You've got to, this is going to be good. People are going to like this." So I did it, and then I just haven't stopped mostly because I don't want anybody to be disappointed that I stop, but also it just keeps me kind of in shape.
Yeah.
Singing, I have to do it every week. If I'm busy and I don't play much guitar and sing that week, I've got to be there Friday and I got to sing the songs. I have to do it. And I tell you, it does keep you in shape.
Oh, for sure. Are you playing out very much?
Not that much.
Yeah.
Not as much as I should. I live in San Francisco. I don't know. It's not really a music town. I know it is, but it's not the music town that it used to be.
That's absolutely true. That's just unfortunate.
We got, although, you could do some AI, you could do some tech work, you could drive a Tesla around. You want an autonomous car? Great town for that.
Well, that is
San
true.
Francisco still is a great town. It's still a world-class city, maybe, but it's just, that having one type of industry dominating definitely makes things tough. And the whole Bohemia thing, it's just, it's been scrubbed away quite a bit here. And that's where all the, that's why I survived here for so many years is just that, that Bohemian underbelly, 5 people living in a flat, paying not much money and going out to shows every night and having bands and all that stuff. It's just so little of it now. I think it'll probably, there's some of it I've seen, the youngsters, the ones who can afford to do that. And that's the big difference. There was a time when everyone could afford to be in a band and live in San Francisco. If you were willing to figure out how to make that work for yourself. But now it's like, unless you're, independently wealthy, you can't do that.
Sadly.
Changes who does these things.
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's the business itself has, changed so much. And David and I talk to people all the time, and they say, well, there's no good music being made anymore. And that is so far from the truth.
That's not hardly true.
Oh my God.
It's just harder. It's harder. It's easier to find, but harder to find because it's not in the zeitgeist of the AM radio stations or smaller stations or regional stations playing things anymore. But now with a little bit of effort, you can find so much online and learn so much about a lot of artists, a lot of bands. There's so much stuff out there. It's just you have to do a little bit more work to find it.
Yeah, we certainly do. In finding bands for IPO, my wife and I have to search and search and search. Thank God for, venues like Bandcamp, which have very efficient search engines. And it's definitely out there if you're willing to look.
It does bring to mind that whole idea of the struggle to find your people and to find the records that mean something. You remember, we're just talking about Smoky Hollow, how it came on a cassette in, 1991 or 2 to me. And, along with a bunch of other things like, what's that Swedish band?
Which one?
Beagle.
One of the greatest ever.
Yeah. And what's the French Canadian pop guy?
Pagliaro?
Yeah. All those things that, you would have to try to, you would go through the network of, dudes with cassettes.
Sure. Yeah.
And there isn't really that anymore, right? It's just networking on social media and being part of things. And you could still stay home and listen to cassettes, but it's just a different way of getting people connected. And it feels like it's easier, but there's just so much noise, I guess, right?
It's easier.
Well, yeah.
But there's also, as you said, there's also so much that it's almost desensitizing and overkill to the point where you're like, well, I don't want to deal with anything that unless it's on my time and my effort. So you miss a lot of things that way, but there's positives and negatives about it.
Right. Well, I remember one thing that I realized at one point was when I owned 11 records, I listened to those over and over. I really got to know them. But when you have 50,000 records, or 1.5 million or whatever tunes available through your phone, it's a different experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you're lucky if you get through the song, let alone listen to it over and over and over.
Well, not only that, not only is there, when you have that many records, is it harder to remember them all, but you also have a lot more in your head over the years. So, I mean, I could hear a new record, no matter how much I love it, it just doesn't stay in my head. I have to hear it again. That wasn't the case when we were growing up. You could hear something, and even if you never heard it again, you'd remember it. And
there's
it's
still
not because
songs that
music's not as
I
good.
forgot.
It's just because there's so much of it. So there are pluses and minuses.
Well, it's like guitars. I don't own a lot of guitars because then I'm going to spend less time with each one.
Right.
And the thing about a guitar is that you have a relationship. It's not a relationship with the guitar. Like, the guitar doesn't care, but your brain learns that block of wood and how it reacts when and your fingers learn and your brain learns. And you have, in order to express yourself, if you do it on a bunch of different guitars, I just don't think that it's the same. I think you get spread all over the place. So I don't have many guitars. I have one. I had this guitar, since 1990, and then it just, because it's a 12 string, it slowly wants to come. The neck just wants to bend forward. Just like my spine. So then I got this one. So now this is my new, but I just play this all the time, and that's how it goes. You just have to have the one guitar.
Well, I gotta say, this has been a real pleasure, and I could talk to you forever, but because of IPO and not having much sleep, I
Gotta go to bed.
about to fade. Yeah. So I just want to say, it was a genuine pleasure having you here, and I'm really glad we got to go through your career, and I'm really happy to hear, because I didn't know this until now, that you do have a new record almost ready to go, and
I do.
we can't wait to hear that.
It should be fun. And sorry we didn't get to talk about California Redemption Value, your favorite.
Well, my favorite album is always going to be Sight and Sound, but I do like California Redemption Value a lot. And hey, Mango, love this kid. Is that inside humor between you and someone else?
That's Dale. Well, that's Dale from Flying Color.
Oh, okay. Hey,
Mango.
Dale. Good to meet you.
That's just his way of saying man, I think. Hey, man.
Oh, all right, cool. Well, I did want to leave by playing a track from California Redemption Value.
Oh, good. I didn't want it to be left out.
Which, in case people didn't think that you could do the power pop, they need to hear a song like this one. So
This was like a Dave Edmunds kind of thing.
but it really is a power popper, though. I mean, and
I guess so.
at least to
It's
me,
a noisy one, isn't it?
yeah. But that's it shows your versatility. And Chris, I just want to say, again, genuine pleasure. Thank you for taking the time.
And thank you, David, for all you've done for this power pop community. I mean, you're the, what is it? The Quad P? What is that?
That was not me.
Okay,
that was not about.
you?
That was
You're
not
the
about
power
me.
pop. That's not you.
I can't be about me. I didn't wear Beatle boots, and I did actually have a girlfriend. I think it's just an amalgam. You know what it was?
Yeah.
It was somebody's idea of what a pop promoter was like. So it's kind of an amalgamation of all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people want to think it's me, but no, I don't see it. And maybe I'm
Okay. David Bash is not the power pop.
But if that's what people want to call me,
Well,
then
where's
fine. I'm
wherever the
Quad
Quad P is, maybe he's out there doing good things instead of bad.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Mark,
the people who put that thing together, I want to get a hold of them, actually, and not in a good way.
yeah. Well, nice to meet you, Mark.
Yeah, you
And,
do.
maybe we'll all be in the same room sometime.
We will.
Fantastic. Yeah.
We will. And
What
you
happened
and
to
I-
IPO San Francisco?
Well, that was the problem. I mean, COVID killed it. You know, we had been at Hotel Utah, and after COVID was over, it just wasn't happening anymore. And I mean, I want to bring it back. I got to find a good venue though, and they seem to be a lot of the good ones closed after COVID, and I don't know what's replaced them, but I'll look into it.
There's always new venues.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll have to talk to you about that offline as well.
Because there's people here.
Oh yeah,
There's a core.
oh yeah, no doubt. All right, well, let's play "Lonely Tonight," and I will bid you without further ado. ADIEU.
Right.
And thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Have a great one. Here we go.
Left for dead in the stood up section of all unanswered calls. Someone's crying a needless loneliness just beyond these walls. Are you lonely? I know you're lonely tonight. I could spend all my time just talking, but I already know we got nothing to do, and probably you want somewhere to go. If you're lonely, I suppose I'm lonely tonight. Sitting in your silent Saturday, return to Monday, and I don't suspect you have a plan for Sunday. All the rest, you're so quiet, and I decided that I'll disturb the peace. Dot and dash on the wall, code crash, announcing our release. 'Cause we're lonely, knowing we're lonely tonight. Oh, when you're lonely, any romance could feel just right. The floor plan's opposite mine. Scared straight looking at your t-shirt, you explain that mistakes are fine. If you're only on your way back home, right? Yes, I'm only mistaking the left from the right. Alright, 'cause I'm lonely. You owe me that I'm lonely tonight. I'm lonely tonight. Lonely tonight.
Another great track by Mr. Chris Von Sneidern, one of the more power poppy. And yeah, I do see where he's coming from with the Dave Edmunds thing, but that melody line, you know, for me is very power pop. Lonely Tonight from his wonderful album California Redemption Value. It was a great show.
Really, very, very much so. And, great getting idea. I mean, huge fan of his entire body of work, and
so glad to know that another record is coming.
Yeah, indeed. Hard to believe Sight and Sound. We just look at the date, 33 years. It just seems to have gone by in an instant. But
it really has.
As I said, he's one of those artists for me that after every new release, I'm always looking forward to the next thing from him. He's just one of those that hits me that way. And so we look forward to some new stuff from Chris Von Sneidern. Yeah,
Absolutely.
wonderful. Yeah, wonderful guy.
Well, we have some pretty cool guests coming up over the next few weeks.
Yes, we do.
And next week, well, I mentioned the International Pop Overthrow compilation. It's one that we've done every year of the festival since its inception in 1998. But forgive me if I'm spectacularly inarticulate and stumble over words now, because I have had very little sleep, combined with see, again, I can't come up with the right words, but the combination of adrenaline and serotonin going on in my head is making me really wacky. But anyway, we have done a compilation since the festival's inception every year, 1998 until now. But for the past 5 years, we have been on the great label Omnivore Records. Omnivore, primarily a reissue label these days. They did put their toes in the water of contemporary acts, but it didn't work out for them in releasing full-length albums by anyone. But they did like the idea of doing the IPO compilations. That way, although they do reissue full-length albums by people, this way they can keep their toes in that water by featuring, as many as 69 tracks by bands from all over the world. And I'm very, very grateful to Omnivore for putting these out, but I also love what they do with their reissues. And we're going to have one of the founders and co-owner of Omnivore, Mr. Brad Rosenberger, will be our guest next week. And it's possible that one of the other co-owners, Cheryl Prowelski, who's a 4-time Grammy winner for some of the stuff she's done with the label. And we're really hoping that she can join. But if not, Brad will be just fine. And we'll talk about, everything about Omnivore and what they're doing. And if you're still looking for Record Store Day stuff, Bob Brady and the Concords, their first ever compilation, released on Omnivore for Record Store Day. So that's next week, next Sunday, which would be April
26th. Yeah.
April 26th. And then next week, the week after that, a very exciting guest that you procured for us. Tell us about him.
Yeah, May 3rd. If you grew up like David and I did in the 60s and 70s, there were always commercials for medications or things or whatever. They always said, 4 out of 5 doctors recommend that you eat this or do this, and it was always a great catchphrase. Well, that turned into an awesome band from the early 80s called 4 out of 5 Doctors. Their debut album and their second album, Second Opinion, which had twin heads coming, it was awesome. But great power pop, rock and roll band. I believe they were out of the Washington, D.C. area in Northern Virginia as well. Loved them. And their bass player, lead singer on many tracks, lead writer, Mr. Cal Everett, is going to be on the show on May 3rd. We're going to talk 4 out of 5 Doctors, but more importantly, he's got a brand new album coming out right around that time. It's called Weight of Early Promise. And David and I have both have gotten early copies of it. And when I got it, I was so blown away by not only how good the album is, but his voice is incredible. 40-something years on, it's just
honestly better now than it was even back then.
And if you're a pop fan, a rock fan, you're gonna love this new album. Very interesting guy. You're gonna get a great kick out of talking with Mr. Kyle Everett of 4 out of 5 Doctors.
Yeah, I had the pleasure. He came out to LA to visit his daughter, and so that gave me the opportunity to have lunch with him. And he's just so full of energy and really, just loved recording this latest record, and it certainly shows. And I'll let the cat out of the bag here. The first track on the album, Older Now, will be on this year's International Pop Overthrow compilation. Very thankfully, he agreed to do it, and it's a wonderful track, as are How many tracks on the album? Like 20 or something.
Yeah, because some things kind of are short and they lead into other things.
Yeah.
When I first talked to him, he said, listen, I'm going to send you the album digitally, first of all, but I want you to sit down like the old days, and I want you to listen from first track all the way to the last track without interruptions. Don't get up and get something to drink. Don't go to the bathroom. Listen to the whole thing, which I did. I followed his directions, and there's a reason for that, because he said, that's how I envisioned it. That's how I wrote it. That's how I want people to listen to it. And it's really it's well worth your time. Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, look out for that one. Following week, May 10th. Is that right?
May 10th.
May 10th.
Yeah.
Those of you who are old enough, as we are, to remember the inception of MTV, remember that they constantly had certain tracks in heavy rotation. And one of them was by a band called Burning Sensations. You may remember the track and the really cool video that went with it. A track called Belly of the Whale. It's a pretty unforgettable tune. And one of the members of that band is going to be our guest on Material Issues. His name is Morley Bartnoff. And over the years, he's been in several bands, and one that he put together himself called Cosmo Topper. Who were definitely a hit of Los Angeles for many years. He's played IPO many times. He too has had tracks on the International Pop Overthrow compilation. He may have one this year as well. But he's a really interesting guy, and he's full of stories, not only about his own bands, but those that he grew up with, going to see live in the LA area, mainly the band Spirit. He may be the foremost authority on Spirit, so we may have to ask him a few things about them. But Morley Bartnoff will certainly be a very entertaining and informative guest of ours on May 10th at Material Issues. And then I think the following week we'll devote to playing more new music by artists, and hopefully a Stump the Bash or something like it. And then the following week, we'll be in Liverpool at the world famous Cavern Club doing IPO, and we'll definitely do a live. Our show will be live from the Cavern, and we'll interview some bands. We'll showcase some of their live performances at IPO, and of course, do a little tour of the Cavern, the most famous club in the world, as they say. And they're not lying; it really is. So.
Do that, yeah.
We'll look for that, and then over the next few weeks, we'll be in Stockholm and Glasgow, and we'll probably have some guests on those weeks as well. And I'll be exhausted as I am right now, maybe even more so. I don't know, because it'll be like 1 or 2 in the morning for me. So, but yeah, I'm a trooper, and we're gonna have the shows. So we'll see what happens there, but. Anyway, I want to thank Mark, and I'm sure want to thank everybody for sticking around with us. As always, we appreciate your devotion to the show. It really is important to us.
Yeah, very
and
much.
Definitely tell your friends. I mean, we're normally on Sundays at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, and so on. But this week and next, and it's all my fault because of IPO and traveling and all that. We're going to be a couple of hours later than usual, but we'll keep you updated about all of that.
Right. And next week's show again will be at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific start time. So
yes. Come back and join us with our guest, Mr. Brad Rosenberger of Omnivore Recordings.
Materialissues.com, going across the bottom of your screen. You can go there and check out. This show will be in the archives as soon as we hit end stream. 252 episodes. So if you missed it, or any of the episodes, watch it.
Of course, if you missed it, you're not hearing this probably.
Right.
Thank you so much, Tim.
Tim, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it.
As always.
Yeah.
All right, everyone.
And have a great rest of your IPO Chicago.
Thanks so much, Mark. I'll say it first. Love to Chesanotti.
There we go. And love to Rena. And
who's on her way home right now.
Who's on our way home. Yes. But we thank everybody again. We'll see you next Sunday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Material Issues. Be here. Have fun. Good night, all.
Good night. Thank you.